Now, this is absolutely hilarious. I'm sure everybody knows what's his name? Keith Olbermann, that old washed up political hack from ESPN. I mean, how far the mighty have fallen. Um, I don't know what happened to this guy because, I mean, I remember when he was, first one on ESPN years ago, and I used to watch him on ESPN. I thought he was pretty good. And then somewhere he lost his brain and he became insane and he became eaten up with liberalism and saying all kinds of things that he has no idea what he's talking about. So apparently, he starts running his mouth about Riley Gaines. Now, Riley Gaines jumps back and says, "Hey, Keith, tell you what, little boy, I will challenge you to a race, swimming." And I think it's 200-meter freestyle? She challenged him. And I'm kind of curious if Keith Olbermann is going to buck up and take on the girl. I'm really kind of curious if he's going to man up and do it. Now, we all know he's not going to because Riley Gaines will absolutely hammer Keith Olbermann. I got to be honest. I could probably throw a 7-year-old little girl in a boxing ring against Keith Olbermann, and I'll put my money on the 7-year-old little girl to take out Keith Olbermann. And because Keith Olbermann has just turned into an absolute shill liberal hack for some odd reason, and I don't know what these people are thinking when they do this. It's pretty evident, no matter where you stand politically and what you believe in, but it's pretty evident that the Democrats' game plan over the last 4 years was bad for America. It's very evident, very evident. Almost 90% of the people supported, and I'm talking the people in America, supported Donald Trump getting rid of illegal criminals. Almost 90%. That means Democrats and liberals supported it too. And yet you have like 14% of the unhinged, of the AOCs, fighting the other fight. And that's where, and now we know all we hear about is this 80-20 thing. That's all we hear about. That the Democrats are on the 20% side of what 80% of the people want. And it's the most insane thing to me how the Democrats are picking the worst fights in the world to fight and thinking that what they're doing is correct. I mean, their values are completely screwed up. They have no morals whatsoever. It's like the three idiots storming the ICE center. Then the mayor gets arrested. Then they go on a tangent about him being arrested. Well, you know what? Wasn't it you all that was screaming no one's above the law? Wasn't it you Democrats that were screaming that? For years, you all were screaming that. Now, all of a sudden, y'all are supposed to be above the law? Is that what you're saying to me? Because apparently a lot of you all are above the law. And that's another video about Joe Biden. And, I'm kind of waiting to see how this all starts to pan out with him and his auto pen, because we all know that Joe Biden absolutely was not running the country the last year. And when all these executive orders started flying over, who was signing them? Because it wasn't Joe Biden. Because what's coming out is Joe Biden didn't even know about the climate executive orders that he supposedly signed. He knew nothing about them. So pretty safe to say that Joe Biden and a couple of their cronies were in charge. And if that is the case, I hope the hammer comes down and I hope they go to jail. Because remember, Democrats, nobody's above the law. According to you all, nobody's above the law. But anyway, Keith Olbermann comes out and starts running his mouth, as liberals love to do. And I meant to put up a video. I had a bunch of clips, and I needed to find them. And the name of the segment was going to be, Can You Point Out the Liberal? Because they're panels of people. And if I can find all the clips, I'm going to do that. Can you point out the liberal? And I promise you that everybody will point out the liberals. Even when they're not talking, you will point out the liberals every single time on every single panel. I need to find those clips. I started compiling these a while back, and I kind of forgot about it until just now, actually. But Olbermann, this nutbag, decides that he's going to post on X. Riley Gaines finished 85th in the Olympic trials. She finished tied for 5th in the only race including a transgender athlete. If there had been none, she might have finished tied for 4th. Or had 5th place to herself. Now, this is coming from, Mr. Manly Man, Keith Olbermann. So, of course, Riley Gaines responded back. Placed 85th at Olympic trials when I was 15 and 16. I was one of the youngest there, and I placed 5th in the nation in a sport measured in hundreds of a second without going a best. You would say the fifth best college football player is objectively bad at their sport? And Keith Olbermann probably would, because he's kind of an idiot. So she pops out and she decides that she's going to challenge Keith Olbermann to a race. Now, I haven't heard Keith Olbermann's respond to this. She said that she would want to race him in a 200-meter freestyle race. Let's see. The Games for Girls podcast host told Fox News Digital that she is now officially challenging Keith Olbermann to a race for charity. I wouldn't race for charity. I would just race to embarrass him. The event would be a 200-yard freestyle at a location of Olbermann's choice somewhere before August 31st of this year. Never happened. He's too much of a sissy. The winner of the race will pick which charitable organization the proceeds would go to, and the total wager to be donated would be set if Olbermann agrees. The 25-year-old University of Kentucky alumni told Fox News that Olbermann could do a 150-yard freestyle while she still swims 200 yards if it incentivized him to compete in the charitable challenge. A spokesperson for Olbermann did not respond to the request for comment. Of course not. I'm going to tell you right now, Keith Olbermann, you might want to lay off the soy just a little bit, all right? It's lowering your testosterone levels just a little too much, and I expect you're going to start lactating at any time now, okay? Because you want to go out there and you're going to bash a girl who's losing her sport to a man, and then you're going to condemn her for being the fifth best. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. She's only the fifth best in the nation. Okay, Keith, what were you ever the fifth best at in the nation? Ever. Besides being a moron. You're probably fifth best in the nation at that. I'll give you that. Being an unhinged, clueless liberal, you're probably the fifth best at that also. I will give you that one too. But I'm pretty sure you're not the fifth best swimmer in the world. Basketball player? Well, in your case, probably more like cricket player. Okay, I shouldn't say that. I don't know anything about cricket. It might be incredibly hard. I don't know. All I know is they use weird bats. That's all I can tell you. But cricket, I know nothing about it, so I might want to take that one back. You know, fifth best at frog jumping. There, I'll do that. Goat herding. But have you ever been the fifth best at anything? Because I gotta be honest. I'm a guitar player. I would love to be the fifth best guitarist in the world, or the fifth best keyboard player in the world. I'd be happier than hell. Dude, I would be ecstatic if I was that good. I would love to be, or the fifth best singer in the world. I would take any of them. Any of them. Hell, I would take a fifth best violinist in the world, and I don't even play the violin, but I would take it. I'd take it in a heartbeat. Fifth best runner? Sure, I'm good with that. But you're going to bash her for being the fifth best swimmer. That's amazing to me. That's amazing to me. And like I said, Keith, have you been the fifth best at anything besides this? No. Because you sure do that a lot. You seem to do that a lot. But bashing her for losing to a man, I mean, how small are you? How small are you? And like I said, you might want to back off the soy. I think your testosterone is leaving your body at a rapid rate. You're no longer a man. You're no longer a man. You're just a tall, lanky old dude that's bitter about everything. And you're going to bash a woman for losing her sport that she's worked for since she was a child to a guy. And this guy that beat her, what did he rank? 458th in the United States. And if that doesn't tell you the difference between male and female, this guy who ranks one of the worst in America can still come out and beat the best in America females. If that doesn't tell you the difference between the two, then nothing will. But I still can't wrap my brain around it why these liberals back transgenders in female sports. I cannot wrap my brain around this to save my life. I do not understand it. What do they think they're accomplishing? And like I said, their agenda is so off kilter, they lost everything in the election. Nobody bought it. But yet, they're still fighting that very fight that caused them to lose. Most of Americans do not want men in women's sports. And this goes back to the 80-20. 80% of Americans think it's wrong. 20% of the unhinged liberal Americans think it's right. 80% of Americans don't want dudes in women's locker rooms. 20% of the liberals thinks it's okay. This is amazing to me. And I can't for the life of me. And even the gay people I know think it's wrong. They think it's wrong. They do not think trans dudes should be competing against women. It's the craziest thing to me, the hills the liberals will stand on. I just don't understand it. And for the love of God, please keep standing on that hill. Please keep standing on it, because that means 26 is going to be a cakewalk for the Republicans, as will 28. Don't come off that hill. I just read a report that AOC is in the lead for the Democrat Party for the direction the party wants to go. So the Democrats are backing one of their unhinged liberals, one of their radicals, to take the party in that direction. Fantastic. I am all for that. 100%. Please put AOC at the top of your totem pole. That would be the greatest thing for America you liberals could do. And please keep people like Keith Olbermann. Keep them running their mouths. The Keith Olbermanns of the world, the Bruce Springsteens of the world, who have no idea what they're talking about. Keep fighting this fight that most of America disagrees with you on. Because the more you all fight this fight, the better off America will be. Because the more Americans will keep rejecting your insane policies. But I'm going to keep looking to see if Keith Olbermann has enough testosterone to actually accept the challenge of Riley Gaines. And I mean, she laid it out for him. I got to be honest. I have not swam in, I can't tell you, 400 years since I've been in a pool. I would take that challenge. She would destroy me. But hell, I only got to do 150. She's got to do 200. It goes to a charity. Hell, I'd race her. She beat the life out of me. You know what? I'm okay with that. I wouldn't care one iota. I'm not a swimmer. But then again, I'm not going to go up there and bash a swimmer. I'm simply not going to do it. I'm not going to go out there and, I'm a martial artist. I'm not going to go bash Conor McGregor. I'm not going to do that. That is stupid. And for Keith Olbermann to bash a woman for losing to a guy is ignorant. And then she turns right around and says, hey, put your money where your mouth is. And amazingly, we hear nothing at this point from Keith Olbermann.